All right, welcome back to another episode of the Men's Talk Show. Wayne and Deron are here again, and we are so grateful that you guys are tuning in, providing your feedback, subscribing, liking the videos on our social media, IG, TikTok, YouTube. Thanks so much for keeping us going. You guys really inspire us, and we made this platform here to make a safe, judgment-free zone for other like-minded men to come and share what they're going through. And so today we have another one of our followers, Darius King Derry. He resides in Kansas City, and he wanted to come on today and talk about his mental health struggles. And hopefully somebody will relate and be able to overcome what they're going through by hearing his struggles. And so with that, introduce Darius King Derry. He's a professional musician. I said resides in Kansas City. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor getting a chance to know you guys, getting a chance to chat with you guys. I'm really fortunate to be here.
Yeah. Much for coming on. Like I said, coming here, and it takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable, open his world to, especially as a man, to express what you're going through. So, tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Kansas City. I come from a family of 11. That's siblings aside, that's with me included.
That was never a house.
Never. It was never quiet growing up, but I kind of liked it. I'm a musician. I do poetry. I songwrite. I produce. I rap and sing. I've been a professional musician and artist for the last 7 years. I deal with major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, CPTSD, and as of recently, I just got formally diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. A lot mental health wise, but I've been in therapy for the past 7 years, so that helps mitigate it a little bit. Just kind of day to day and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said, it takes a lot of strength to come out here and tell the world what you're going through, because you are certainly not the only one who's going through that. And so, first question I got said inattentive ADHD. And so, how old are you?
I am 27 years old.
So 27, and ADHD has a lot to do with learning, right? So how did that affect you growing up? Let's start with your earlier years. How did that affect you growing up and going to school?
Absolutely. Even when I was a kid, kindergarten for that, there was something off. I couldn't or put my finger on it, but something was off. Now, I'm from a generation that's kind of in the new and the old. So they were still figuring out about how to other people who have mental issues and stuff like that. They only call it gifted or special programming. When households, they hear that and they're like, "Oh, my child is special," blah blah blah. So I didn't really have any accommodations or any help. People just kind of thought I was easy or dozing off or not paying attention. There would be times where as a year-old kid, I would just be daydream or lost. I would freeze. I'd do any work. Somehow I made it through K through 12, but it felt excruciatingly long.
Yeah. How many went through K through 12? And did you schools at all? Like, through school, there's like different teachers. Do you remember like kind of just a struggle the whole time?
Yeah. So my dad is a pastor. I'm a pastor's kid. We moved around a lot. There were a lot of different teachers that I came into contact with, a lot of different curriculums. As a substitute teacher, a former substitute teacher myself, it's a lot of planning in a classroom. So, you can imagine how that must be on the opposite end of being a kid and getting swapped around to multiple different schools, multiple different teachers. It was a little bit difficult, absolutely accommodating and welcoming. Other teachers were just very strict and cold. And so having to navigate that alone for the most part as a kid was just very tough.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, we grew up in a different generation, where it was not like now, where emotional intelligence and being able to speak your mind emotionally is more parenting is like now, but back then wasn't no such a thing. It's a few episodes ago. We had want to talk about when the only way that you tell your parents you're depressed, they say go depress them dishes, right? There's no depression around here. You ain't job, like things good for you. So when you're going through tough times, it was very difficult. And so like you felt like you had to go through that alone.
Yeah. So did you feel like you have any support system, like your friends or family, or push through things on your own?
Now I have a pretty decent support system. I didn't really get my support system until about 8th grade. That's when I met my best friend. Really close friends, but even then, I still felt like there was a mask a lot. Being predominantly white spaces as a black man or a black kid, I had to mask a lot. You can't friends about a lot of stuff that you're going through. So it wasn't until I got to college that I really started to unmask and I really started to get my support system. And even then, it wasn't until the pandemic hit that I really started getting my support system with my close village of friends. So it's something that's very new to me. But a lot of that alone. You know, my fair, but me and my siblings, we bonded over frustrated we were about moving and stuff like that when we were growing up. But now I can talk to siblings and I can talk to my friends about it. So it's a little bit different now, but I wish I had the support system I had now back then. That would have been very helpful.
Where are in the age spectrum of your 11 siblings? Are you youngest, oldest, middle?
I am the middle of the middle. I'm number 4 of 9. We've kind of gone like we go clusters. So it's like 3 clusters, the older 3, the middle 3, and the younger 3. I am I'm the old of the middle 3, but I'm in the middle of all of my siblings, and I'm also in the middle between my oldest and youngest brother. So it's just the middle of the middle.
And so, I want to ask, you about your struggles mentally. Have any of your other siblings addressed similar mental health issues, or you're like the first ones actually speaking out about it?
There's one other person, sibling wise, that has done it. They actually inspired me. My oldest sibling and sister. She has CPTSD. She deals with depression and anxiety. I believe she has BPD.
What is that?
I believe it's bipolar disorder.
Okay. Yeah.
When I was growing up, and she was talking about, she got it when I was a kid, and I didn't understand it then. So, like, oh, this is kind of funny, but like being older and into it, a lot because she talked about it first. And when she started talking about it, I started asking questions. And my other family does deal with it. I'm almost positive they deal with it, but they opt to just pray it away. That, do I still healthiest personally? Not really, but I respect, their decision that.
Yeah, everybody has to deal with their own mental health in their own ways. And like you said, the way with it back then, up in the 2000s, like there really was depression, right? It was just, man, they're going through a phase and, no feel.
Yeah, I can definitely tell what you're going through, Darius. Younger, I didn't really talk about a lot of things when I was going through them, and you didn't have that support system because usually my sister, she was dealing with a lot of depression herself, so the focus was kind of like on had a whole lot of problems, and the focus on me because I felt like like I was coping in a way that was good, but internally I was breaking down, and that's not good when you feel like you hold everything in, you have no one to talk to. But like you said, the support system I have now is a lot stronger because I'm able to talk to my family about anything that's going wrong with me and what's going wrong with them. And so, back in the day, you couldn't really do that much because no one really understood what depression and like that was. Now we understand what it is, and me and us, we talk all the time about I'm depressed, you depressed. We have conversation because that's healthy, especially in the Black community. We're no longer dismissing. At least I hope we're no longer dismissing mental health.
Yeah. Well, another like you both just hinted at, it's like it was to be something that was strictly just for females, right? Females got depressed because they have these emotions inside and things like that. And men were taught we're stoics, rock foundations, like we don't have emotions type of thing, which is further from the case. I mean, we are beings, and we feel you cut us, we bleed just like anybody else. You hurt the inside, it hurts too.
Yeah. Very misogyny and sexism were the ideals of old. They all women, especially black women, as loud and that always get depressed when in reality a lot of us black men walk around here with X, Y, and Z and we just try to brush it off. But the thing about in life is that when you try to brush off a stain, instead of cleaning the stain at its source, it smears. And you want to try and deal with that at the source. Because if you don't, it's just going to get on everything.
No, that's a perfect analogy. Absolutely perfect. And that's the reason why I got into health coaching, because for a while I was a certified personal trainer, and I wanted to help people become more fit. And then you realize like that's just a Band-Aid cover. Like you can great program somebody, but if they're not dealing with whatever is at the root cause, they're not there mentally ready to do those things. And so you just deal with things like a Band-Aid. You gotta clean it up, take it out, put it back together, and deal it from the roots, like you said, because it'll come back.
And Adarius, you said that you were going through, you have a black therapist now. So what is that like? Do they relate? Obviously, I hope they relate to you. Is it a black female therapist or a black male therapist?
So, actually, my black therapist I had right after a very serious breakup, very devastating in the fall of 2022, about a little bit under 2 years. It changed. Up until then, I had white therapists, and even during all of the George Floyd stuff, white therapists. They didn't Either they didn't understand or they couldn't relate. All they could do was just offer their condolences and or sat there and just gave me ab's and c's of therapy, which really irritated me. Black therapist has changed everything. I can't go begin how validating it is to have someone that looks like you help you through life's journey by giving you things that you can hear in your own voice. There's just a different level of understanding that comes with having a black therapist.
Yeah, and I think something that's much needed. Not that therapists of any other race or color are not as good. We're specifically speaking about somebody who looks and sounds like you and can relate, grew up possibly the same way you had their family had the same mannerisms, and so saying certain things that happen, they understand like, oh yes, I definitely understand that because that's my family too, type of thing. And so need representation matters, and we need more people of every race and culture to be therapists to help those who look like them, because when you see someone in a certain position, it's easier, especially in a therapist, to break those barriers.
Yeah. You like, but see, I actually had the opposite experience. I actually did have a woman white therapist, and she got me. Surprisingly, right?
And that's good. That's good. So what we're saying, it's not just like every single therapist or whatever race, color therapist is not good. There's something for everybody, but it may be easier if you've never been to therapy and you want to get a therapist. I'm like, well, this, let's say, white person from Oklahoma is not going to relate to me who grew up in Washington, D.C., right? Because Washington, D.C. is the majority African Americans. And so it's like, maybe they can't relate, but then maybe they can. And it's just all depending. But it's been somebody willing to go see a therapist. And who are they most willing to go see? So, Duran, talk about your experience with.
Yeah, she was a white woman, and she was a really chill, cool, relaxed, laid back person that took the time to really get me. She would ask a lot of questions about my background, where I grew up, what struggles I had, and she was really undivided attention. And that was something that I was not used to prior to her. I had another therapist that was the opposite. Like every time I say something, she would judge me. Every time I was open up my mouth and talk about my background, she would make some type of smart comment about things. And I'm like, this is the opposite of what I really need right now. You're supposed to be helping me, but yet you're harming me by judging me and not giving me the safe space to speak my mind truly. So needless to say, I got to the current therapist, and she is so much better. She takes the time to ask me questions, how I'm doing, and during the where everybody was emotions and no one can really leave their house and almost driven to insanity, to the like no return. I'm so glad she was with me because like if she was not with me, I probably would have took my own life because I had friends that I didn't really trust. There was a lot of family issues. Like biggest thing, the mental health issue is like being around family. Like I want to be around them, but I can't be around them because you better put away the knives because somebody might get hurt. That's the type of dynamic that family
Yeah.
is, and I need to stay my distance from them to protect my own mental health. But what about you, Wayne? Any mental health issues going on or in the past?
I mean, yeah, we were those mental health issues. I mean, for me, being in the military for 20 years, when I left home 18 and went to a foreign country and, you're trying to find yourself, and you're have all of these strict rules and regulations in the military and learn your job. And then you don't know everybody's growing up together. The people around are all 18, 19, 20 years old. And you want to be friends, but then like people change. You're growing up, you have different experiences. You get experiences, which impacts how you operate. And friends go, and it's hard to realize when you're that young. It's like when we're friends, and now you're not friends, and sometimes you just don't understand it, and so you become lost, and you're trying to find the people that your tribe. And so that was hard for me at a young age, and then trying to that related to, and sometimes you get taken advantage of, and as soon you don't know who to talk to. So absolutely, I went through it, and I feel like I went through it alone. Like I don't remember talking to anybody about those things. Like he acted like he was my friend for like a whole 2 months, and then was like, "Hey, my family back home is really struggling. Like I keep sending money, but they're asking for more money. Like, can I get $300 from you, and I'll give you back in next week?" And he was higher ranking than me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem, man. We're friends. We've been hanging out. Sure, here you go." And then like after that, $300, and like he would never speak to me again. He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, hey, what?" And then like that was it.
Using you for the money. That's all.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and like, man, like now $300, like okay, like that's a long time ago, but it's like, man, that was a lot of money. Nah, he never paid it back, and he never talked, and I never told anybody because I feel like, man, I'm like 19 years old. I'm supposed to be a man, and I let this guy take advantage of me, and I never lied about it.
And yeah, $300 right now is like life changing. I can't even imagine what it must have been then. Like that, as that not in your 20s, that's like life or death there. Like imagine how rough that must have been.
Yeah. So I went back to your story, Darius. So you left off at the pandemic. You started talking about that, and then you have a therapist that you can relate to, and it's working out for you. So what are the coping mechanisms that you have to help you get through the things that you're going through? I know music is one of them.
Yeah. So some music. I'm big into video games. Always have been.
All right, what's the game?
Yeah, I'm a video game avid. For ADHD, having a creative outlet or something that you can just kind of switch and fun is helpful. I've been playing video games for 27 years. The fun is that I grew up at the beginning and at the tail end of the old world and the beginning of the boom of technology. So I've played every console from Atari to the newest PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Game
choice.
My game of choice as of right now, because I don't have a lot of story-based games out there right now. But if I had to choose one game, I'd probably play Rocket League. That's kind of my thing that I like to use, when I'm stressed, I'm down, my brain is working. Sometimes I get on there when I'm even having a good day. Of course, I can't play it for long because it's very competitive and it everything just goes to rage. But it's not raging and like throwing mic or anything. It's just me being upset because my teammates don't know how to rotate properly. Um, then I'll watch a comfort show. Um, Up until a few ago when I was, okay and fine, with Rob, doing yoga outside in the park. They have yoga in the park up here at the museum, and I would go up there every Sunday at 2 p.m. do some yoga. I do work out a lot. As of lately, they've been renovating the gym space, so I've just been playing a lot of basketball. A lot of basketball for the last like few months, and recommendation to do cardio, just because of my hypertension. I do every now and then, but it's mostly cardio. I went to the gym the other day. I scored like 15 points, and 4 of those were threes. So, like much like like to write poetry, to my circle. As of weeks ago, I started dating someone. Reach out to them, I hang out with them, we'll watch a movie, put something on. You know, Weekend I've been socializing, which is a first. I don't ever get out and socialize as of lately just because I'm dealing with so much, but I literally went out all this weekend and socialized. Um,
Let me pause you right there, because I, for one, was in my 20s and my high school years. Like, I spent a lot of my time playing video games. And so, no, it can be quite isolating, especially back then before the internet, and the online gaming. It was just like if you just had somebody come over and you were on the same console or you were playing by yourself type of thing. Um, and so I missed a lot of social time when I was younger just because I just wanted to play the game. And then being in the military, moving around, sometimes I had guys who wanted to play with me, and then sometimes I didn't. But one thing that I from you is that you have healthy coping mechanisms, and you know what? So that's good. That's really good. Interacting online, in person, is some of the most helpful things when you're going through a tough time. And so I'm glad you have that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely taken me several years to cultivate. A lot of times when I was growing up, where like you said, you could friends online because the $300 to $500, and I'm an adolescent. I don't even have a job. I'm barely making it through middle school and high school. It was my sophomore year that I even got my first PlayStation 3, and that like changed the game to have friends, to talk to and stuff. Several years to cultivate my healthy coping mechanisms and a lot of therapy. But I've taken things that I've learned from therapy and I've really used it to help fuel me when I'm through things.
And I'm glad to hear that. I'm really, really glad for you to hear that, because you're acknowledging what's helpful and you stick to it. And that's what therapy is a tool. A therapy itself is not going to cure, it's not a cure all. It's a tool to help you overcome. And you're a perfect example of that. And so for all of our followers who are seeing that and hearing your story, I really hope they can relate to that. And then lastly, tell us about some of your music projects so we can share those out with other people. What do you got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been taking a few months to kind of not put my streaming platforms. But I've been pursuing a music career for the last 8 years. 8-year anniversary is actually coming up in September. It'll be the anniversary of one of my dear friends passing. He passed away. Oh, it's okay. He's in a better place. He passed away almost 8 years ago, and he was the one that we had a serious conversation a few months before he passed, and he encouraged me to chase after music. But it wasn't until 2020 when everything happened that I really started chasing music. So I say officially I've been in the game for 8 years, but I started releasing things 4 years ago. So for me, I have many projects that I have out right now. Last year alone, I did 3 full collaborative projects, several different music projects, and I performed all across the city of Kansas City. Right now, I have a few projects that I'm just waiting to pull, on to get started. All lyrics are wrote. The beats have already been selected. I just gotta get them recorded and distributed. I have music on platforms under my artist name King Dairy. That's KINGDARI. And I read stuff a little bit more frequently on my YouTube page. It's kind of my playground of ideas. I'll release a demo version of something on there, and then if I'm on my streaming platforms, I'll go back, I'll edit it, I'll make it nice and neat. Because last year that if I'm scared, I should do it anyway. If I don't think it'll go over, I should do it anyway because the music isn't for me to judge once it's out. It's for the fans. So, all projects, I've been in the last couple months, but because I'm silent does not mean that I'm not working,
Yeah.
So I'll release what I have up next in store. It'll be really good.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. We're coming up on here, but the last thing I wanted to mention before we go is what are some coping mechanisms or that you can give the men that might be going through some of the same issues that you're going through, Darius, like depression or maybe something like that. What is some advice that you would give to them if they're going through that?
Absolutely. The first advice I would like to say is more of a statement than advice. It's okay. I know that a lot of times as men, it's easy to think that what we're going through is not okay, but it is okay. Reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, take the time to save the national crisis number. It is 988 now. They changed it, I think, a year or so back. If you talk to, please reach out to them. You're not alone. Another thing that has helped me is I listen to a lot of binaural beats. So they kind of help with the things, so those I would suggest, writing all thoughts down in a journal. That's a good mechanism that I found. Find something that helps you have purpose and meaning outside of your day to day, because we as men can get really tied down with our monotony. And in order for us to become true men, truly healed men, we have to step outside of that monotony and create something, even if it's just for fun, just create something that's meaningful and worthwhile.
And when you speak about meaningful and worthwhile and creating something, that's exactly why we created this channel, the Men's Talk Show, is to that. And so that I just want to hide a little bit, doing something different. Dron, I changed my hair. I don't know if you noticed, but the mini fro is gone. Now it's been since I've had my hair braided. I cut my hair was like down to here in my junior year of high school, and then going to my senior year, I cut it. And then I was like, I for some reason, I like remember seeing sailor movies. They were like old sailor movies when they had ships and the guys had long hairs and beards. And I was like, well, I'm going to the military, but I'm going to the Navy, so they can have long hair. And no, it's not like that. No, so I didn't know Google back then, so I couldn't just Google it and see regulations in the Navy. But yeah, so in 21, 22 years now, so I got my hair braided, and my wife likes it, so that's good. My kids like it, and it's something different.
As long as you're happy with whatever you do. All right. Well, we coming up on time, but we really thank Adarius for coming. And as always, I appreciate you, Wayne, for hosting the show with me. Did we have any final questions or thoughts that we wanted to before we wrap up, or is this it for here?
No, we're good. Just follow the channel. Go check out King Dairy's music as it comes out and what he's already posted. And as always, thanks for following. Thanks for watching, comment, share, and all those good things. Have a good one.